Happy playoff Monday. AJ on the road, calling a great game this past weekend. Really, too, but such a good broadcast. So good, AJ.
Totally.
Well, thank you. We pissed off both sides, so I think we did well. If both teams hate you, both team fan bases hate you, that means you're doing your job. But it makes me laugh because my biggest thing is like game one, right? Nothing really happened. All we did was talk about Wheeler throwing 7 shutty with 2 hits and, I don't know, 9, how many ever punch outs he had, right? So, and then the Mets have that big inning. And so we have to talk about the Mets while they're scoring all these runs. And everyone's like, gosh, you guys just love the Mets. You won't even talk about the Phillies. Yeah, well, guess what? When a team's putting up a 5-run inning and it's single, guess what you got to talk about? The Mets hitting. You're not going to talk about the Phillies pitching is amazing. No, not when that happens. So, yeah, of course. And then last night was one of the best games I've ever seen. I mean, just back and forth, the crowd, the way the big momentum swings. Harper's home run might have changed the Phillies postseason for the entirety run because that home run, the crowd was deflated. That one swing, man, it got them back into it.
Well, let's get right into it now then. Let's charge the damn mound and dive right into this series.
Charging the mound.
You're going to lead the charge here, AJ. You're there. We're watching, of course. Kratz is nearby. He might have heard some cheering at some point. Might have heard some booing early on, too, of Castellanos, who, I don't know, had a pretty solid year for them and 4 walk-offs prior to that. So, maybe Philly fans are going to keep that up because they figure it produced good results. But what was this like?
Well, the Vientos home run was unbelievable because all they were talking about was the shadows. Every hitter I talked to, shadows, you can't see. And for him to go oppo off Christopher Sanchez, who does not give up home runs, was amazing. And then that swing, Severino made a mistake. If you watch Alvarez, and then he hangs another one to Castellanos. But I'm telling you, they were booing Castellanos. He swung and missed at a pitch in the dirt, and the boo birds were out. And like I said on the broadcast, man, the most important guy in this series is Nick Castellanos because they are not going to pitch to Bryce Harper. And he came through big time last night. Also, you can go about bullpen moves. You can talk about all kinds of crazy things. But, Edwin Diaz was in the 7th inning last night to try to get 7 outs. And then Vientos hits his home run at his neck off Matt Strahm, which nobody has been able to do the entire year. And then this is a hanger. But the problem is in this inning is we see Trey Turner scoring. You can't walk Trey Turner in front of Bryce Harper with 2 outs. You just can't do it. Like that was the mistake of that inning is I know McGill wasn't trying to do it, but you walk Trey Turner. And then with the way they're approaching Bryce Harper, you knew they weren't going to give him anything to hit. So then it all came down to Castellanos, and he delivered, 3 times last night in big situations. So, he had a tremendous game.
Yeah, McGill. Buto was the one that gave it up, right? Buto walked Turner.
No,
right?
McGill
did. Okay, I thought
McGill walked Turner, then he walked Harper, and then he gave up the hit to Castellanos.
I thought both teams managed everything really, really well. I think the first game, the Friday night game, it's so a shame that we don't get to talk about Wheeler's unbelievable outing, like historic. How many swings and misses did he have?
30.
Like 30? Like an elite game is 15. He doubled that in a playoff game. Like elite. I don't care what you say about shadows. That is unbelievable to throw 108 pitches and throw 30 swings and misses. But the swings and the ebbs and the flows, I didn't hear the stadium. I always wonder if you could hear like some kind of like reverberations, but I could hear my neighbor yelling. He was outside. I could hear my neighbor yelling anytime that something good happened or bad happened. So that was fun for me. But I think like Mendoza went out there and just reminded McGill. We talk about it all the time, like don't let Harper beat you. Don't let Harper beat you. He went out there and talked to him, and it was perfect. He didn't let Harper beat him. Like that was exactly the game plan. They executed it, but just ended up hanging it and banging it. And then for Castellanos to come through after they were booing him, that is just classic postseason. And it doesn't feel like the series is 1-1. It feels like the series is like 3-3 and they're going to game 7. But I'm so excited we get at least 2 more from this.
Yeah, same. And even going back to game 1, Senga popping up for a couple innings, right? Right
Yeah,
after our show is when that news came out.
I got to tell you all that story. It was great. We have Carlos Mendoza on, and he's probably going to make some joke about it, how that happened, how he told me. He told me before he announced it, and he's like, you can't, I'm like, because I want to do my prep. So I'm like, hey, who's pitching for y'all tomorrow? And he's like, I can't tell you. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell anybody. And I'm like, besides, you have to go tell everyone in 10 minutes anyways. And so he's like, okay. And he just looked at me and he went like this. Hold on, I got to get a little bit back. He looked at me and went like this. If you know what that means, it means
Ghost
split
fork.
finger. But Senga wasn't on my mind, right? So I'm like, okay, right. And then as he said it, he walked out to the outfield. And I was like, who throws a right-handed split? I'm like, Severino, but he's the game 2. And I'm like, well, that's got to be McGill, because I wasn't thinking about Senga. Like, Senga wasn't even anywhere thought about, right? And so then I'm talking to Mike Sarbaugh, who's the third base coach, and who, by the way, I was cracking up because he was on the phone when I walked up to him, and I'm like, "Is that Tito in Cincinnati? Are you going to Cincinnati?" And because he's been with Tito forever, so he was dying laughing. And then Tom McCarthy and I were talking to Sarbaugh, and I go, Sar, I was like, what does this mean? Tell me. He's like, I know, but I'm not allowed to say it. So then Mendy comes back. I'm like, Mendy, like, come on, man, like what? And he goes, well, what do you think? And I'm like, well, it's a right-handed split. And I'm like, that Peterson's out. I'm like, Sevy's game 2. I'm like, it's got to be McGill. And he's like, no, you got to think a little bit more outside the box. And I'm like, no way. And he's like, Senga. And I'm like, no way. He's like, fork ball, ghost fork. And I was like, no freaking way. I'm like, that's awesome. So then, he was going in to announce it. Of course, I wasn't going to say anything, tweet it out or anything, but it was just pretty funny. And then even yesterday when he saw me, he's like, you know what this means now, right? And I was like, oh, yeah.
You should have done like some type of ghost thing. Like, I don't know, quickly grab a
seat.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was
a secret, funny. Scott. It was a secret.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a seat. Funny. I can't find one.
It was just very funny. No, it's great. I mean, that's how the managers are. Mendy's great. Obviously, we're having him on today, but and we all know Rob Thompson. He's awesome. It's just different. Mendy's all a little more energetic, and you talk to Topper in his office, and he's kind of like a quiet talker. And he's just kind of, he gets his point across, but they're just completely opposites. You got Mendy, and he's bouncing off the walls. He's got his kids running around, and it's just different vibes.
Let me ask you this about Severino, because he looked good for a while, but Harper had touched him up a couple times, and the whole narrative is don't let Harper beat you, and that was playing out. That was part of when the Mets then took a 3-0 lead, and there's fans being like, well, why are they talking about what the Phillies need to do to come back? I'm like, it's a pretty big storyline, guys. The Phillies could be down 2-0 at home pretty quickly. Pretty sure that's how a national broadcast works, because I bit back at someone, and they were like, they didn't have to mention that. I'm like, no, they did. They did have to mention that. I'm not going to go back and forth for a while, but you sound really dumb right now, okay? Just go to the radio. Get out of here. But anyway, going back to Severino, he clearly was adrenalined up for that matchup, right? He was throwing harder. You and Wayno were talking about how he potentially overthrew. Was that played out correctly? Obviously, you don't want that pitch to go where it does, but is there anything that could have been done differently? Because that was also the game to an extent.
I don't think he meant to throw him a strike. He had rung him up. He had punched his ticket twice on high heaters, right? But they were like this high, right? Like letter high-ish, chest high. The one he threw was right down the middle. It was a mistake. And if you watch the replay, Alvarez, as soon as he hits it, you just see Alvarez as the catcher. He just turns. And he's like, "Oh no!" Right? Because he knew as soon as he let it go that Harper wasn't going to miss it. And you don't make mistakes to Bryce Harper in the playoffs, because he's one of the best clutch playoff performers of all time. And listen, the weird thing is when we talked to Mendy about it, and we're like, Mendy, what do you think? And he goes, well, Severino pitched against him last time. We had a 2-0 lead. Harper hit a 2-run homer. He was cruising. Harper 2-run homer. Then he cruised again for another couple innings. Harper hit another 2-run homer off of him. So this kind of played out the same way. He gets into the 6th inning, and I mean, he was dominant. He was cruising. Trey Turner gets on base. Maybe it's the threat of him running. Maybe it's a bunch of different things. Harper hits the home run. Crowd gets right back into it, goes crazy. Hangs a sweeper slider to Castellanos. It's 3-3. I mean, he gets through the 6 for him and get him out. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I think they have to watch with Severino is he cruised for so long and then it just happened so fast. I don't think they could get anybody up and ready.
Yeah, game changed quickly. And then Kratz, I mentioned it at the top, but is there any legal defense for Phillies fans booing Nick Castellanos earlier in the game when it looked like things were spiraling for the team? To me, it also felt like a team boo more than just an individual boo. But You tell me. I mean, obviously he was chasing,
Okay.
but I felt like the crowd was just pissed about the results. They lost game 1. They're looking terrible in game 2. And if you're down 2-0 heading into Queens, luck is not on your side. Chances are that you're going to lose the series at that point.
Nick has been the punching bag here for pretty much the duration of his contract. Didn't go well. His first year of the contract, all-star, second year. Now he's into his third year of the contract. And the narrative is always he had a bad start to the season. The narrative has always been, he's terrible, terrible. I don't understand. We got to get this guy out of the lineup. It's the narrative that if you turn on any Philly radio, it is not the case. He was one of their best hitters, I forget, from June something on. Most consistent hitters. Other guys had higher peaks and valleys, but he was the most consistent hitter. To me, I think it was more of just frustration with the team. And then they saw the guy who's been the punching bag, and they see him do what they feel like the narrative, he's chasing too much. He chases too much. There's too much chase. You hear Larry Anderson and John Kruk talk about it all the time on the radio and the TV for the Phillies. And yeah, he probably chases too much. But this is a guy that I think he has 4. You said 4 walk-off hits this season. And
yeah, this was 5.
This was his 5th one.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that Philly fans will do what they do. And believe me, I grew up one. My family, they're Philly fans, and it's one of those things that I think it's unjust. I think it's unjust for him. It's not right because he has delivered some huge moments, and there's two of them last night.
Yeah, I mean, that's his game, AJ.
Dude,
that is his game.
Listen, the way he hit last night is the way he has to hit opposite field, right? He took the ball to right field in a couple big situations. Then he got the hanging slider and pulled it. I mean, again, I'll swear by this, that the Phillies are going to win. Nick Castellanos has to hit. And you saw it play out twice. They walked Harper. Diaz walked Harper, didn't want anything to do with him, right? And then Castellanos shoots him to right. It's first and third, tying run. And then obviously Bryson Stott hits the triple on what was just a terrible slider from Diaz. But Castellanos was the key to that inning. He was the key, obviously, with the walk-off. He was the key when he hit the home run to tie it. It was the key when he hit the ball off Diaz, and it was huge when he got the hit on McGill. So if the Phillies are going to win, if teams are going to continue to manage Harper like this, he's got to be huge for him.
All right, and let's have some fun at the end of this segment. So we're going to do a little ownership tale of the tape. Now, the Mets have a changing of the guard. They're good now, okay? But we'll first show you just a little quote from Stephanie Apstein's article with John Middleton talking about how he just puts his all into this team, and that includes finances. And you see him on the field. I mean, he's always on the field. He's shagging. He's throwing baseballs to everyone. As many of his peers prioritize profit over the postseason, Phillies owner John Middleton just keeps spending on payroll, on equipment, on anything players ask for. My great-great-grandchildren might be angry at me, but I'm not going to know them. That is such a money quote, literally. And then let's show the reverse, and then we'll get comments on both. So, again, this is previous ownership group. This current group spends some damn money. They're in the same boat here. But the prior group, the Wilpons, Zach Wheeler talked about them before his game 1 as if he needed more motivation. That's why I slammed his K-prop and made some money. So anyway, quote, I won't forget that, he told John Clark from NBC down there. Zach Wheeler on the Mets, when they were charging him for tickets to the playoffs in 2015, him individually, when he was rehabbing from Tommy John surgery, then the Mets did not feel Wheeler was worth the money that he was getting from the Phillies in free agency. Yeah, they did not offer to match. So is that normal, AJ, where you tell a player on your current team you got to pay to get inside the ballpark? Feels like a slap in the face.
Well, two things on this. First of all, John Middleton was at both games, sitting on top of the Phillies dugout at what time was the games? 4 o'clock? At 2 o'clock when they opened the gates, he gave baseballs to I don't know how many fans. Personally, physically, he was handing baseballs to – there was a line, and he was just handing them ball after ball. Every single person that came down and talked to him. And then the next day, game 2 yesterday, he was sitting there taking pictures with fans. I mean, they were just a line. He would come down, speak to them. They'd go just like a normal, picture line. Boom, boom, boom. So to see an owner do that is amazing. Listen, Steve Cohen was there. We saw him. He was on the field talking to this guy. So these are 2 of the best owners in baseball for sure. And it's cool to see them do that. Now, the Wheeler story, I asked him about this. And I said, is this story true? And he gave a little more insight into it, which makes it, I don't know if it's better or worse, but he said he was rehabbing Tommy John. He wanted to come up to the playoffs because he told him, he said, hey, I want to feel this. I want to be in the dugout in case, we keep this run going as the Mets. So I can just feel what the atmosphere is like in Citi Field. And they were like, no, we're good. And he goes, okay, what if I just come out and hang out in the clubhouse? And they're like, no, we're good. He goes, okay, what if I come out, hang out in the clubhouse before the game, do my rehab, and then I just go sit in the stands during the game? They're like, no, we're good. He goes, okay, how about if I just go sit in the stands by myself and listen? And they're like, sure, you can do that as long as you'll pay for the ticket. And he was like, no, I'm just going to watch it on TV.
Have you ever heard of that before? Have you guys ever heard of that?
Never.
No.
Never.
How did that happen? So that's Jeff Wilpon.
It was Wilpon. It was not Steve Cohen. It was Wilpon
of the Mets. It was the son of the owner. Yeah.
And listen, I give Wheeler credit because he laughed it off. Okay. I mean, he laughed, he's like, it was a long time ago. He's like, it was almost 10 years ago. I get it. But it's still, and it was Tom Verducci and I sitting there talking about it. It was just like, wait, what? I was like, can you repeat that whole thing? Because no, not only had I never heard of it, but normally, like, if you're going to buy tickets, yes, you got to buy tickets. But for a player to ask for just a ticket for himself, that's crazy. That you're just like, yeah, we don't have one. You got to pay for it. No.
That I've never. When I first saw this, I thought it meant he had to pay for his family's tickets, which everybody has to pay for, or at least all the postseasons I've been to, you have to pay for your family's tickets. I mean, you could spend easily $10,000 on tickets if you get enough families and you go far enough. But for them to charge a player who wants to be there to watch his team, he's going to get a ring from that season, from however far they go. That is brutal. It makes me so happy that they didn't win that year. Just for that, just for the ownership to not get that satisfaction of victory.
Yeah, that's dirt karma. That is dirt karma right there. And there's some other dirt karma we're going to get to coming up next. So we got a big beefy segment coming up. But first, just want to remind everyone, we have shows on both sides. So I know we were talking Phillies for a moment, and they did interview Charles Barkley recently, but Ruben, Jim, and Todd running the Phillies show. I actually see right now our Metsed Up friends in the YouTube live chat. So if you want to say hello to them, they're part of the FT fam, and maybe give them some words of encouragement after game 2. Although they're pretty pumped. I mean, you can see James is really excited there to bring the series home with a 1-1 tie right now in a best of 5. So anyway, check both of those out. We'll be right back on FT to get into the Padres-Dodgers madness. All right, FT fam, this episode is presented by Mint Mobile, and for some of you, the wireless bill can get absolutely out of control, and you can see what they're flashing on the screen right now when you go to mintmobile.com/territory. That looks pretty affordable right there. It's right below you, Kratz. I think you can even probably just give it a little tap, like a thank you.
I won't touch it. It might get my wallet.
Sizzle. Yeah, there's really not much to it. It's small because the wireless bill is small, but you get everything that you need. In terms of your wireless plan, you're running on the nation's fastest, largest 5G network. You're getting unlimited talk and text, the whole deal. It's just that you don't have to pay as much. You don't have to get bothered as much with weird rando charges. That's what Mint Mobile does so well. We're working hard on getting to Ryan Reynolds so that AJ can ask him about his soccer club. So stay tuned on that front. But in the meantime, to get started, go to mintmobile.com/territory, and all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. And when you go to mintmobile.com/territory, you'll cut your wireless bill to $15 a month. It is $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on their first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
By the way, even Fred Wilpon could afford that.
Touche. That's some West Coast prime rib right there. The Padres and the Dodgers have just been going at it for years, and I feel like it's even more amplified now. We had a game that was not close. Okay, it was entertaining. The Padres defense was fantastic. They hit a bunch of homers. There was a lot to talk about, but it's the beef between the players, and I want to start with this: the beef between the fans and the Padres outfielders, because that's what's grabbing attention. We've got two players on this show at least every single day. So, AJ, first off, Jurickson Profar makes a disgusting catch, just so nasty, and then trolls the fans a little bit. But we fast forward to later on, and he tosses out a baseball, which you do basically between every half inning, and then they're throwing stuff at him. They threw the baseball back, someone else threw a baseball. Other side, Tatis, who always has fun with the fans, is just getting pelted with stuff. I mean, not hitting him, but they're throwing stuff at him. Can't happen. And the one part I want to say, and then you guys dive in, is I'm listening to the PA announcer, and he's like, you could get ejected if you throw stuff. I'm like, no. The message needs to be, hey, whoever's throwing stuff right now, you're never going to see a damn baseball game again. We've got cameras, and we will arrest your ass if you keep this up, and we're going to investigate this afterward and prosecute everyone. That is the only way to address this. They were like, maybe we'll throw some people out. Like, stop. What is that?
I hated this. And I thought that was a home run. We were watching it in the car driving from Philly to New York, so I thought it was a home run. Everyone acted like it was a home run, and then all of a sudden they're like, they took the zero off the scoreboard, and it was like 1 out. And I was like, wait, what just happened? And then they finally showed it. It was a sick catch. Like, that was a great catch. And then, listen, did Profar showboat a little bit in front of the fan? I'm sure the fan said something to him. And he kind of jumped up and down and kind of rubbed it in a little bit. But it's the playoffs, man. It's a rivalry. But never, ever, ever throw things at the players. Please, never. This is the worst thing you can do as a person, as a fan, because it just brings into so many dangerous situations. So I thought it could have been handled a little bit better. But when they brought the security on the field, everyone stopped real quick.
Yeah, let's not paint every Dodger fan like the Dodger fans who are throwing things at the outfielders, but you can assume that the same thing was happening in Philly, the taunting and everything. So don't think like every all 15,000 fans that are standing in the bleachers in Chavez Ravine are sitting there going at Dodger Stadium, are sitting there going, oh man, I'm bringing stuff to throw at them. It's a rare group of idiots that throw stuff. But the taunting, that is real. I don't care who you ask. I don't care if you ask a bullpen guy, what city you go into. In the playoffs, fans are at another level. They're at another level, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen as far as like taunting the other team, no matter where it is. Even if you're wearing the opposing team's jersey in that ballpark, just unbelievable. It is a crazy environment. Philly's no worse than any other place. Dodger Stadium's no worse than it. They're all bad. I didn't see one that was nice.
Okay, and I'm with you here. I said this last night when I was watching. I tweeted, disgusting move by some fans, right? Which we have everywhere. Bad apples everywhere. That ruin it for everyone and also happen to ignite the opposition. There should be a better system to fully investigate via cameras and prosecute when this bleep happens. There should. It's dangerous, guys. It only takes one time for someone to throw something dangerous and for it to hit a player in the freaking face. I know it's happened before, but it should never happen. And I have some fans in the chat right now agreeing with me. That was one of the softest PA announcements I've ever heard. I'm not blaming the PA announcer. He's probably given a script. But whoever's in charge of that needs to be much more firm. Maybe I'm a little bit too hardcore, but the difference between what I just said at the top and what I heard last night was so soft. I wrote it down somewhere. I can't find it right now, but it said like, if you throw stuff, you could get ejected. I'm like, what? No. You should be gone forever from any ballpark, let alone the one that you're in right now, and you should be prosecuted. It's attempted assault. You're throwing an object at someone, right? It's not a paper airplane. You're chucking a baseball and other crap at players. It can't happen. And they're not looking at you. Like it's to me a no tolerance policy. And there's cameras everywhere these days. They can't address it.
I would call for airplanes. I would love to see airplanes being flown onto the onto the field. Paper
Paper
airplanes.
airplanes are great. Beach balls, all that stuff. Funny. Great. It gets tossed around. One ends up on the field here and there. It's fine. It's not going to hurt anyone.
Are we lucky? Are we lucky that we haven't had anything? Because when this stuff happens, I'm so surprised at it. But then my mind goes down a rabbit hole and like, should there be more in place? Is it going to be too late? From MLB's standpoint, is it going to be too late? Something's going to happen to somebody. I remember when the Royals, there's a Royals first base coach, got attacked. Like, are we too late in planning this? 2003?
Yeah, we're too reactive. Shocker. We're always too reactive. This is too reactive. Last night was too reactive. It was very poorly done. And I don't think it got ripped enough for how poorly it was put together. Having all the security, that's great. That's a given. You have to have that. But the way it was addressed, in my mind, was not okay. I didn't feel like there was much of a deterrent to be like, hey, fans, stop doing this. It was like, hey, we have to say don't do stuff. Thank you. No. Ridiculous. So I get it. It's just some fans that ruin it for everyone. I'm not blaming Dodger fans. I'm blaming the individuals. But there should be a way to take those individuals out of the ballpark and prosecute at this point. Like, come on. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
And by the way, let me say this too about the Profar thing. Fans are like, oh, he was taunting the fans. No, he was excited. He made a catch, and the dude tried to take it out of his glove. So, I mean, listen, why is it okay if a player says something to a fan, the fan gets so angry, right? But fans can just, because you paid a lot for your ticket, you can just yell anything you want. And trust me, I've had everything in the world yelled at me, right? But what gives people the right to just yell insults at you for 3 hours while you're standing there in left field? Like, just because you bought a ticket, right? It's just bad. Like, let's just try to be nicer in general.
Agreed. Yeah, it's just endless verbal crap coming from everyone and whatever. Like, you're talking, but the physical throwing of stuff is my line. Like, I lost it. So
did you see the video of Profar giving the ball back to the fan who he took the ball away from? The one where he robbed it, and then that fan threw it back onto the field.
But that was what ignited this. That fan threw it, then another fan threw a baseball, then in right field they're throwing stuff at Tatis. Correct. Yep. And that's why it's insane. Insane. You lost. All those people should never be allowed at a ballpark again. Not to mention they ignited the Padres. Padres did the meeting. They were fired up. You guys know the adrenaline for the playoffs, but you don't think it matters, AJ? No. I thought you guys don't think? They had 5 homers. That Padres offense looked like a World Series winning offense for a night. You don't think that was a little series tilting action right there?
No, I don't think the fans tilted it. I don't think them thinking, and we'll get to the whole hit by pitch, them thinking they threw it Tatis. I mean, if that's what you need now, you gotta recheck what you're doing. I mean, they hit some homers off of some of their non-high leverage guys. I get it, but I think, I don't know. I don't think the fans fired the team up. I think what fired them up was the fact that you had to sit for 15 minutes and then he still went out and shoved. I think that fired him up more than anything.
Yeah, you Darvish you're talking about. And what's the deal with Tatis versus Flaherty versus Machado? There's a lot of back and forth. Remember, they came back from commercial break, AJ, and Machado and Flaherty were still going at it.
We almost had Willie Adames, Jesse Winker. I mean, we're going to go meet in the parking lot again. Like, what are we doing? This is great. I love this stuff, man, because the playoff baseball is where it's at, and we need it more chippy. Listen, even JT Realmuto and Brandon Nimmo got into it a little bit yesterday when Nimmo hit that home run. So I'm all for this. Listen, do I think Jack Flaherty threw a Tatis right there, down 3-1 to leading off an inning? No. But at the same time, I mean, he has pretty much owned him his whole career, so maybe he was just sending a message. I don't know. Bad timing, weird timing, but it sure got the Padres pissed off.
I do not think at all he was trying to hit him. But he also said he gave you an insight into what he was thinking. He's like, I didn't get it far enough in the last time, and you saw what happened. He hit a dinger off him, so he wasn't going to miss that side. It's okay that you miss too far in. Like, that is not – Jack Flaherty is not – he's not – if he has some ill intent there, if he's like, I have to scare this guy off the plate, he's going to brush him back and make him lean a little bit. I love the fact that they're showing the jawing here because, man, he's not meeting anybody in the parking lot. He's not meeting anybody behind the dugout. But also – this happens more than you think. There's jawing that's happening more than you think. Some guys back down. Some guys don't say a word. There's more jawing. The difference is we're watching one game right now. There's one game, and they are super cued in and locked into trying to see those guys. And rarely would Flaherty stand up on the top step and yell at somebody. Normally you're like kind of down under and you're yelling. Guys are yelling at each other. But, hey, it was heated. Completely heated. And Manny was throwing balls into their dugout. That's the part that made me laugh too. He's like, oh yeah, I throw balls into the dugout all the time. My dugout, their dugout. You got to throw it. I don't know. I don't know what kind of balls he was or how hard he was throwing in the dugout, but that made me laugh.
All right, well, let's get to him. So here is Jack Flaherty post game.
They didn't like the pitch to Tatis. I missed in the first inning, and I threw the ball over the middle. I wasn't going to miss over the plate again, but I've got no reason to hit a guy there to start off the sixth, as good as he's been swinging the bat. But we're down in the game. I'm trying to go in for effect, and he didn't get out of the way. It hit him. Didn't try to go and hit him to try to lead off an inning or anything like that. That doesn't really make sense. Yeah, he did some in between innings where he tries to throw the ball at our dugout. Everybody kind of catches the tail end of it, which is me and him going at it. But I was sitting there for my team. I wasn't sitting there to go at him. But he was throwing the ball at our dugout, and the umpires went over immediately to tell him. I don't know what their conversation was, but our dugout was fired up because there ain't no reason for that. Everybody caught the tail end of it. Everybody caught just me and him going at it. Manny's a great player. I understand everybody. It's postseason. Everybody's fired up.
Yeah, they were fired up, but it sounded pretty legit. That was actually a very detailed response of the play-by-play of what was going on there. But the Padres seem to be one of those teams that also are looking for some storylines, sometimes they're looking for things. They've also gotten into it with quite a few teams this year, right? Profar clearly rubbed some people the wrong way. Obviously, Tatis. Those guys are entertaining for the sport too. As Tatis said after the game, he's like, it's the show, baby. I'm going to have a good time with everyone. So let's get Manny Machado's side.
Manny, Flaherty said that you threw a ball into their dugout, and that's what prompted him to start bargaining.
That I threw what? I throw balls all the time into the dugouts.
Into their dugouts?
I throw, both dugouts. They have ball boys, you throw the ball back in there. So, when you try to hit our best hitter, right, get him out. If you can't get him out, don't hit him, right? We don't go out there and we're not, they got the best player in the game, right? Ohtani. We don't go out there and try to hit Ohtani. We try to get him out, right? Don't go out there and try to hit my guy.
What's with the tossing the balls in the dugout?
That was clearly he knew it. I'm just going by what he said. He knew what he was doing, throwing the ball into the dugout. Hey, you know what? If you throw a ball into the dugout, that's fine. If there's a foul ball or something, you flip it over to their bat boy. Based on what Flaherty was saying, we caught the tail end of what actually happened. And based on Manny's reaction, I throw the ball into the bat boy all the time. No. And then all of a sudden he just went on a diatribe about how you shouldn't hit that guy. They didn't even ask him another question. Just listen to his words. So I want to see the video of him throwing the ball. I want to see exactly how hard he threw it.
I don't know. I'm here for it though. I'm here for the smoke. I love the smoke. Let's go. It only adds interest to the series. It only gets people to tune in. It only gets people to watch. So I'm all for it. Listen, I don't think they're ever going to get into a fist fight because these games are too important and nobody wants to lose some time. But yeah, what Machado said, I throw the ball in there all the time. I love what Flaherty said. Flaherty's like, I made a mistake last time he took me deep. I wasn't going to let it happen again. Good for you, Jack Flaherty. But hey, you hit the guy. He didn't like it. Hey, listen, the Padres have been known to talk a little trash here and there. Let's not forget, this ain't the first time Profar's been into it.
No, this series is going to get interesting in my mind just because of the pitching later on in the series. Obviously, game one was on the weekend, but Dodgers came out from that bye week, that brutal bye week. The offense looked good, including Ohtani hitting his first playoff homer on a pitch quite high. Where was that? Neck high as well, right? That was pretty high up in the zone, that pitch that he smacked. But, right?
Yeah, not super high up, but they were trying to go in. It was more in than high.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to go in, and he said, nothing doing, cease.
No. And then, since our last show, Musgrove is out with Tommy John, so he's probably out for all of next year. Kershaw's officially done for the season too. So it is what it is, what you're looking at for the pitching staffs. But in my mind still, AJ, there's a lot more pitching for the Padres than there is for the Dodgers. I mean, Blake Trinan looked nasty. I'd go 2 innings with him as much as I can. He's a veteran, let him eat. But, I mean, Yamamoto didn't look good.
Listen, the Padres have hit Yamamoto a couple times.
Yeah.
Opening day, they whacked him good. And remember, we were like, oh, boy, this Yamamoto guy, was this a mistake? Right? They hit Flaherty good, too. The Padres are good. Okay, let's just say that. Now, losing Musgrove hurts, but you still got Darvish, you still got King, you got Martin Perez, you got some other guys over there that can eat some innings for you. But if they get to their bullpen with a lead, good luck, boys.
Yeah, that's why they've got the pitching edge. Now the series goes back to San Diego. We'll see. It's an awesome series, though, so far in terms of the drama. All right, so here's the deal. First off, we're going to have Dodgers territory today. It is Monday, so you'll get a lot more on the Dodgers and the Padres with Clint and Alana, 3 o'clock East Coast time on the Dodgers YouTube channel. So check that out. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll flip you right over to that. You can chat with them. If you're watching on Valley Sports, you can check that out later on. But also, we'll swing right back with our picks, our locks for the 2 games tonight. Why? Because we're loaded with guests in the second hour, including Carlos Mendoza, Mets manager, and Tanner Bibee, Cleveland's #1 starter. FT fam, we are at, 59,000 subscribers. So it'd be cool if we get to 60 this week because, it's the playoffs and we're hustling. We're doing some shows in the evening at times today. Yes, exactly. We might do a show tonight after Yankees and Royals. But yeah, today would be cool to get 1,000 subs in a day. So if you're watching right now, we don't need you to do anything but just hit a subscribe if you're one of the 50-ish% of people that watch our videos, but you don't press the sub button. The sub button is still free. I had to check this morning. It is still free to subscribe to the channel. If you want membership, different story, but if you want to just be a subscriber, that's what you do. Quick point here, just on the schedule. I was thinking about this weekend because we didn't have any games on Friday. Why don't we just have the teams travel on Thursday if need be? Most of the series don't go 3 games in the first round anyway, and we start the games on Friday, which is always a money day to have games because there's not much football going on to compete with. So you start the series a day earlier and you give those bye week teams one less day to sit around on their asses. Why not? I mean, teams have had to do that anyway with rainouts and other kind of crap going on. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a disadvantage for the wildcard team. We already know where the game's going to be. So the home team is in place. The tickets and all that can be sold and justified in terms of when it's going to be. Not a bad idea, right? Or is that my bad idea of the week, AJ?
No, I just don't know how you would do that. You can't just you got to give them a day to travel because you have to give the media and the other people time to get there too, the families and stuff. So I don't mind the off day, and I don't mind starting on Saturday, Sunday, because Game 5 possibly is on Friday, and that's what they want. They want the winner take all game on Friday when, like you said, there's less football. And also, let me say this. I mean, we did our first game on Big Fox right after the Penn State game. So I'm pretty sure some Pennsylvanians, what do you call them? Pennsylvanians?
Yep.
Just kind of stayed on there and went from Penn State right into the Phillies.
White out to the red out. Like that.
Mm-hmm. Kratz, you like my schedule idea or it's too much?
I do. But I am now that I'm not playing, I'm so against off days. Because when there's a night where you don't have a game, you're like, I want to watch some games. But I like your idea. I think they can shorten it, but I'm also not too worried about the rest. No player. Once a player comes out and says, whew, we need to do something about all this rest, then we can start looking into it. But don't worry about changing it. Don't worry about changing it just because certain teams are losing.
Dodgers and Guardians offenses look just fine in their game ones. Yankees, good enough. BetMGM Locks nice and early today since we've got a jam-packed guest schedule in the second half of the show. So we'll flash back Nice hit. Kratz, no sweat bet. Padres, Dodgers. That hit pretty early, didn't it?
Yeah, it was six. It was 6 runs in the first 2 innings, so we were Gucci on that one. I assumed we'd make it to 7.5.
Yeah, it's fresh money bags. So we're in the postseason mode. Wheeler hit for me easy, of course. I was pushing it on the runs for a long time. And then the bullpen imploded for Philadelphia in that first game. So here we are with the postseason money bags. And now let's set up our locks for tonight. 2 games to choose from. Which one are you choosing, AJ?
I'm taking both. I'm actually taking both games. I'm taking over strikeouts for Reagans and over strikeouts for Skubal. I think both of them are going to – I think the numbers are 5.5 for both of them.
Yep.
So I think they're both going to be out there for a while, especially Skubal. And I think Reagans is going to be out there for a while against these Yankees that struggle against lefties. And I think 5.5, both of them. I mean, it's only plus 158, so somebody must be thinking along my lines because normally a bet like that would be plus 2 to 300.
Yeah, I was looking at that one too. I'm glad we didn't pick the same exact as we have said all year. We do not discuss this until we start. That's real. Okay. But for me, I went with Reagans, and then I just took the under at a high number just so that I could get the number down to minus 110 for myself. So the under for me, I took at 11.5 with the Royals and the Yankees. You know, the Royals offense is okay. The Yankees offense can be explosive at times, but the Royals have really good pitching. That's what's going to stand out here. Reagans, I like the matchup like you mentioned, so I could see him picking up the swing and miss that he needs. My only thing with Skubal, where I tried to talk myself out of it, is Cleveland does make a lot of contact, right? That's one of the top contact teams. I got burned. I mean, this wasn't my lock, but yesterday I picked Flaherty on a bet with a low K prop, and I think he ended up striking out 2 batters. So the Padres make good contact too. So that's the only thing that could talk me out of it. What do you have, Kratz?
I'm going exactly what you said. Cole Reagans, I think he's going to do what he's done against the Yankees. I think he's going to lead his team to a victory. I think Rodon is going to throw well. I was looking at the under for this game, not under 11.5, the under 7.5. But I feel like Cole Reagans is going to lead his team, and I think Salvi, who leads the league in mound visits during the postseason. If you want to read a good article in the Wall Street Journal, he has quite a few mound visits. And I think Salvi probably gets some type of hit, run, and RBI. So I took the Royals money line at plus 125.
There you go. I like it. All right, there's the picks. Good luck for everyone tonight. And also, just a reminder that if you're into home run picks, home run props, there's only one place to go because there is a massive, massive advantage if you're going through BetMGM. And we saw that play out last night, actually, with the bullpen promo that they're running. Fernando Tatis Jr. homered into the bullpen for their first bullpen jackpot. So anyone who placed a $10 or more bet on Nando to hit a home run won a share of their $50,000 bonus bet jackpot. So go check it out on that particular game. If you pull it off and that player hits a home run that lands in an MLB team bullpen, the prizing will be paid out in bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Okay? Just a $10 or more wager on a player.
Tatis did it. He was the first one. Tatis did it.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It was awesome. I saw that and I was like, hey, there's the first one.
And you see the branded bullpens. So
who's going to hit it? Who's going to hit it tonight? Who's going to be the one tonight?
You're our guy, Kratz. Who do you got?
He just said Salvi.
I mean, Salvi's done it before. Salvi's put it in the bullpen off of Rodon. He's hit three or four homers off of Rodon in his career. So why not Salvi? I think he's coming out at plus 330.
I like that. Yeah. And then you root for the bullpens in certain ballparks that give you a little more space, right? That's a good place to turn your attention to. Yankees bullpen, okay?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, great. There you go. All right, be right back on FT. All right, Carlos in the chat asked about Freddie Freeman. He got removed in the 6th inning from yesterday's game. It does not sound great, although I will say he had 2 hits and a stolen base in game 1. But he said, I don't remember the exact timing. I saw the quote somewhere. Like he said that usually the injury he's dealing with would take, 4, 6 plus weeks, something like that. And he came back in a week. That doesn't sound great.
It's bad. It's bad for the Dodgers if he's out, but Freddie's going to play if Freddie can play, and I think them taking him out was more of just a cautious move. I don't think they thought they were winning that game, especially when the Padres started scoring runs. But I guess they scored a bunch of the runs after he was out. So I don't know. It was weird. It was weird timing, but with the day off today, he can get some more treatment, get better. It's a short drive down to San Diego. So I expect Freddie to be in there in Game 3 for sure.
And then one more. You do too? Kratz, you think he'll be back? Yeah. Now they have the off day. So, yeah, a little more time. What about one more for you? Armin said, does anyone think besides me that Wheeler will start Game 4? No.
How? You mean like on short rest?
Short, no chance.
Yes.
No chance.
No. Should they have let him go a little longer? I mean,
no.
Our buddy Jim Bowden on the radio
he threw 114 pitches or something.
111. Bowden was like, yo, I pay you all this money. You're a veteran. He's like, get me to 120-ish. If it's only one batter or two batters in the next inning, I'll take it.
Why not, AJ? Why not go hitter to hitter?
Because they want to protect him for his next start, which is in, could be Game 5. So trust me. You go 7 innings in a playoff game and you don't give up a run. And then guess who they handed the ball to? 2 all-star relievers. It wasn't – they handed it to Hoffman and Strom, 2 guys that were in the all-star game, had great years for them. And they both got whacked 2 days in a row now. So,
But you guys even said it in the telecast. Like, you guys said it on the game. Like, oh, man, it was just sometimes you take this guy out of the game and you had no shot. Like, you had no shot of getting a hit against him. And then you – like, why is the number 108? Why is it 111? Why couldn't he have just come out for the 8th and gone, hey, you know what? We're going batter to batter. You're never going to let him lose that game. I get it. You're going hitter to hitter because he's never gone to that point, because he's never gone to 125 during the regular season.
Yep. You just said
it's
exactly
playoffs. It's the playoffs.
Doesn't matter.
You got to be built up to it, though.
Playoffs.
Okay, playoffs.
Better than Boxscores, 2 other series, and they had the off day on Sunday so that they could play Monday. We keep the games rolling on an everyday basis. Great scheduling move there. But Cleveland ended the game in the first inning. 5-0. The bullpen shut it down. We're going to talk to Tanner Bibee, who shut down the offense for about half the game. And then I partially think that they also removed him, AJ, maybe an inning shorter than you would imagine, because he wanted to get some of those rookie relievers into a less stressful situation. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
But I want to ask that question. I want to ask that question because I want to know why Tanner came out after 4 2/3. That was,
I saw 4 1/3 of hitless baseball. Yeah, after that.
There was a guy on first, and they had a 5-0 lead. I was very surprised when we were prepping for our game, but I looked up and I was like, man, it's 5-0, and Bibee's out of the game at 4 2/3 with only a runner on first. Not bases loaded or something, I could see it, but not a runner on first.
I love it that he got the rookie relievers in. If that's the case, I really like that. But I think also the plan was, hey, you know what? We have an off day tomorrow. Get these guys in, get them prepped because, hey, you know what? It's not just rusty for the hitters. Maybe pitchers can be rusty. And those dudes came in and just mowed down. People need to understand who Cade Smith is, by the way. Just look it up. Look up his stats. It's obnoxious. And he came in and just in a game where everybody throws a billion, and he came in and made everybody else look like, you don't throw that hard. Like I'm just throwing 96 and nobody's touching it.
So can that bullpen lead this team to a World Series title?
No, they'll fall short.
No.
You need the pitching. You need the starting pitching.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
No wonder Stephen Vogt won't come on with that endorsement.
Well, hey, if he would have come on, I would have definitely chosen him.
Did you pick the Mets then? Because Mendy's been on. This will be Mendy's second time.
I'll think about it. I'll ask him if I should pick them to win the World Series.
Well, the Mets have much more starting pitching than the Guardians do, but the Guardians have the best bullpen in baseball. And with spread out off days in this series, it is a nightmare for Detroit, right? He's going to be able to do whatever he wants with his relievers in this series.
Can I ask why analytics doesn't throw into account seeing a reliever 3 times, but God forbid you would never see a starter 3 times. Like you would never, like it is the worst thing in the world. But then you're going to see Cade Smith 3 times. And the way I explain it to people, because people ask me this all the time, like, is it really an advantage? You could put the nastiest pitch ever on a pitching machine. Like a pitch that you're like, nobody would ever hit that. And if it just keeps doing the same thing over and over and over again, even me, career 2-0-something hitter, will catch up to it, will make the adjustment, and will start barreling it up. Think what the best hitters in the game do, the guys who are actually starting for playoff teams do. So in my opinion, you want to kind of hide these guys a little bit, especially in a 5-0 game. Don't let them see your best guy. Don't let Gaddis out there if he's going to be Manuel Clase, a little bit different, but I don't know. We don't, it's rarely brought up, and yet everybody goes to it. The best teams, the Dodgers are the best team. They go to it. The Phillies, they go to it. And it's just like, you can't just keep letting these guys be seen by the same people over and over again.
Although unless you're the Phillies starters are actually better the third time through. If you look at the numbers, it's crazy. We've shown it 2 games in a row now.
It's crazy.
Wheeler and Sanchez actually get better at the third time through.
Yeah, that is so rare these days. I am so on the same page there on the relief pitcher side. I've talked to players. Obviously, it's not from me. I've talked to players that are like, yeah, keep running that reliever out all series long, baby. Keep giving me those reps. Because in game, 5 in this series or in future series when you're in a best of 7, if you've seen that reliever 3 or 4 times, oh, no doubt. No doubt. I think you're playing to it. So let's get to the Yankees for a few minutes here. So game 1 was great. I mean, that was a fun back and forth. It was the most lead changes in a postseason game. It was just back, forth, back, forth. I want to start with the headliner that I think would have dominated the conversation nationally in baseball if it came from the Yankee side versus the Royal side. I can say this. I'm from the area. I think there was clear-cut bias with the Jazz Chisholm missed call. Not that they missed the call on purpose. I'm saying it would have gotten way more attention if it was flipped. If the Yankees lose that game because of a call like that, which was not like, how do I put this? There's no way to justify what happened here, right? Like it was clear cut, defining evidence. It is what replay is freaking for. They messed up, right?
They messed up twice that night, I thought. Trey Turner that was the same day Turner got picked off.
Yes, it was.
And I saw a gap. I don't know. I don't know.
Turner
what
was
they
closer
were
for
what I
me.
didn't.
Turner was closer for a little tougher for me. I mean, AJ, you were there. Okay. You tell me, dude. Jazz was. There was no explanation. Okay, he was out. He ended up scoring the winning run in the game. They screwed up massively on that one. Who the hell is making that call in New York? What the heck is he doing?
Listen, as somebody that was questioning the Trey Turner call, I just think we need more accountability, more openness from Major League Baseball, right? Like I think that's a bigger thing is why can't we hear what they're looking at? Why can't we have someone walk us through it? They've gotten pretty good at the NFL now where they kind of walk you through exactly what they see and what they're looking at. Why can't we have that in Major League Baseball? We have the technology. Why can't we have someone come out and say, all right, I was the replay official. This is what I saw. And this is why I call them safe or out.
Agreed. Completely agree.
I'm like flabbergasted when I saw that replay. It was so damn obvious. I don't even think
it was a winning run.
One. It was the winning run. It decided the game. It's the playoffs. I get the ticky-tack stuff where it's so damn close. Angles are messing everyone up. This was clear cut, and it's the playoffs. It decided the game. Unexplainable. I can't even imagine what the hell just went on there behind the scenes. Like that ump should be taken off the playoffs. Dude, you have to get your eyes checked. It's not even like the joking part. It's like you seriously need to get your eyes checked. Millions of people saw this and you didn't. You are not fit to umpire in New York City in the command center when replay comes your way. You can't do it. It's one and done for me in the playoffs like that, dude. That was such a miss. It's different. I get it. Balls and strikes are tough to call. That was for everyone. Slow-mo, replay, easy. I couldn't get over that one.
What if the Umpires Association was just like, they sent out a picture of Angel Hernandez in the replay booth.
That would be better than what we got. That would be better than what we got. By the way,
that'd be a reaction. I'd like it.
I saw George Brett last night. He was not talking about that at all. He barely mentioned that last night. He barely brought it up in the middle of the hotel lobby. Barely mentioned it when he saw us.
He didn't charge like the Pine Tar game.
It seemed like he was about to. If he knew who the umpire was in the replay room, he might have.
That's why Kansas City's going nuts. Dude,
Bad.
Kansas City's
Bad
going
call.
nuts. I'm telling you, it's a small market. It's not getting the same attention. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention because it was an awesome game. And I'm just like, for it to be decided by a brutally botched call is just absurd.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Everyone's paying way closer attention. It was much like the call that we talked about in our game, the Trey Turner call. And then I'm sure you guys saw it, and I hate to call it umpires, but the Andy Fletcher was behind the plate, and I talked about it, and we talked about it, that there was a 2-0 pitch to Jose Iglesias that was like not even close, right? And he called it a strike. It would have been 3-0. There was a runner first. I think next pitch he hit into a double play. Now, if the Mets go on and lose game one, you can look at it, and those are, as much as you don't want to say, oh, one pitch does this or one pitch does that, can change the series. That pitch could have changed the series. The pitch to Bryce Harper yesterday might have changed the series. So, yes, one pitch can change a playoff series.
100%.
Anything else from that game? So, I mean, the Royals kept up, but the Yankees didn't get a great start from Cole. Glaber had a good game. Verdugo was the right button to push there, too. He had the nice defensive play, too. He had the big hit. So,
AJ, did you see any of Aaron Judge's at-bats?
I did not, because we were basically on about the same time as that game, so it was a little bit tough to see him. So I did not. I missed that, so I apologize.
I hate the narrative of, oh, Aaron Judge can't hit in the playoffs. Like, he has 208 plate appearances. His OPS is like 758. But I would suggest, like, as a Yankees fan, do his at-bats look different? Is he doing something different than what he does during the regular season? If that's the case, then maybe he can't hit in the playoffs. If he looks the same, if he looks like he's not over swinging, if he looks like he's not chasing, because that's easier to tell if a guy is chasing, then I'd be like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, then he would choke in the playoffs if he's chasing and he's swinging at pitches he normally doesn't. Just wait. If I'm a Yankees fan and Aaron Judge hasn't gotten many hits in his last, I don't know how many at-bats it is in the playoffs, just wait. That means he's a ticking time bomb, waiting to put the team on the back, like Giancarlo Stanton did in 2020 in the COVID season. Like, he has that ability to put the team on his back. And Austin Wells is coming up with big hits. Like, the Yankees are in good position. I know they almost lost the game, but I think they're in a good position. They're just going to lose tonight because that's my lock.
Yeah, Wells, Verdugo, Soto, obviously, first playoff game for the Yanks. Weaver's their closer now, so a lot of good things on their side. Let's finish with this. So we saw the quote from – we showed it really quickly, but I'll read it now. The quote from Jazz Chisholm on Alex Verdugo having a big game. He goes, he's played in big cities before. He played in Boston. He played in L.A. And I'm not talking about the Angels. Thank you. We got that, Jazz.
That's pretty funny.
Jazz is going to be a free agent soon. I guess he's not signing with the Angels.
I don't think he's too concerned about them. Or maybe finally a damn ownership change by the time we get there. Also, by the way, Mookie Betts has not hit for a while in the playoffs. We're talking about it late. I know he got robbed, but he's like, damn, I got to figure out hits. I don't care if I'm having quality at bats. You're going to run out of time there again. If you want more on the Yankees-Royals series, I know a show called Pinstripe Territory. Derek hosting every night after the games and running those morning fan Q&A, phone call conversations. So if you got something for him, please subscribe to that YouTube channel as well, part of the FT Network. Be right back. It's a big month for Manscaped. Do we see any epic playoff beards right now? I mean, it's a little early in the playoffs, but you keep an eye out. There's some guys that'll start to, get hot in a series or a team's playing well and all of a sudden no one's allowed to shave until they go cold one game, right?
That's not hockey.
It's not like hockey, no.
Yeah, but the baseball playoffs, they've had it sometimes. I feel like I've been around teams where suddenly everyone's getting all grizzly.
I think the haircuts just get a little more out of control. Like you just go a little.
They get them a little more tightened too. They get a little more tightened on the sides.
You definitely can't get tightened right before you're going to clinch. I made that mistake. I had a faux hawk even with my receding hairline in 14, and I got tightened up right before we clinched against the Orioles. Whew. Champagned in a tightened up faux hawk. Burns. So just do it the day before you're going to clinch, okay? So use your Manscaped and make sure you do it the day before you clinch a series.
And if you're looking for that fresh barbershop shave at home, you can check out Manscaped's newest innovation. It is called the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. You can head over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using the code FOUL20 for 20% off plus free shipping. There's a travel lock, which is clutch if you're traveling, so you're not just hearing the bzzz in your bag and then it runs out of batteries. Okay, LED spotlight. They handle the accidental on button situation, like I said. So looking for that clean shave, there's 2 modes for you if you're looking for the tighter shave, or if you're not a clean shave guy, you can go with the skin safe stubble trimmer. That's manscaped.com and use the code FOUL20, FOUL20 for 20% off plus free shipping.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Does it feel weird when I say Terry Francona's Cincinnati Reds? I'm not really used to that yet. No?
He loves Ohio.
I was going to say, it doesn't feel bad.
Okay.
Just different.
And
nobody saw this coming. That was the biggest thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. No one saw it.
Did anybody have that on their bingo card? Like Terry Francona?
Freaking way.
Before the DS is done, he's announced as the manager of the Cincinnati Reds?
He looks good in red. He was a Phillies manager. He was a Red Sox. The Guardians, they had some red. I mean,
he's only coached teams with red.
He's the anti-AJ. AJ can never coach any team that has red in it. I know he played for him, but even the red cleats, he never kept the red cleats. He donated them at the end of every season.
Yeah, I couldn't get those things off quick enough.
All right, so let's hear Tito with his next red team, the Cincinnati Redlegs, and his intro press conference.
Terry, this organization hasn't won a playoff series since 1995. Were you given any promises that they will put certain players on the field for you, or did you ask for that? Did you ask for them to go out and get X amount of players to before you took the job?
Never even brought it up. We're going to start our meetings this afternoon after I get rid of this and put on something I can actually breathe in. You're gonna hopefully find. I hope you never hear me talk about payroll, things like that. What I care about is the players that we have, trying to get them to be the best baseball team they can be, whether they're 20, whether they're 30, or whether they're 40. And there'll never be an excuse when we play a game or lose a game on our youth or our payroll. Once the game starts, it doesn't matter. And again, I know what my job is, and I don't need to be the general manager. I don't need to be the president. I just want to try to be the best manager I can be.
does talk about payroll if they fall short. But no, I mean, he was in Cleveland. I'm joking. He was in Cleveland for years. He knows the deal. I mean, the Red Sox spent. That's why they were dominant for that period of time, right? That was a big reason why. I mean, they had a top, 3 payroll a lot during that time period when he was there.
And they won.
And they won. But he was in Cleveland. They could never get over the hump because it always seemed like they were a little bit short. They did spend a little bit in Cleveland when he was there, though, and tried to make the right moves and get the right people in there at the right time. Now, will Cincinnati do that? I hope so. I certainly hope so because they have some pieces. Now, Tito can get them to stay healthy, then that's going to help, especially their pitching staff. But I can't wait to see what he does with like Ellie De La Cruz and tries to get him, if he can take him to the next level. Watch out. He might be as good as Scott has been talking about for years.
He's already really good. But yeah, I mean, this team, I think, expected a lot more heading into the season. I don't know how aggressive they're going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't do much. I would be, because they felt like they did a lot last year. I would be surprised if they did, a ton in the offseason. They'll probably do a bullpen piece or two, maybe a bat, but nobody high end. They're not shopping at the top end of the market. They felt like they did a good amount of offseason shopping last year, Kratz. I mean, that is up for debate, but they felt like they went after some players. Might not have been the correct players. Nick Martinez had a really solid year for them. Like, he's a winning player. He does anything you want, right? And he gives you really good innings. Starter, reliever, whatever. Jamer Candelario is a big signing for them. They definitely knew that Noel V. Marte was going to get popped for roids in my mind. And so they're like, all right, cool. We need some depth for half the season. But also, that's one of the X factors. We talked about this the other day. McLean was out for the entire year. He was their best player last year. They thought Noel V. Marte was going to be a 35 homer bat, like a force in the middle of the lineup. And he looked damn good a couple of years ago or, last year, but then got popped for roids, came back, didn't look that good. That happens. We don't know who the real player is.
You can't get 300 at bats out of TJ Friedl and Matt McLean combined and expect to have the season that you were going to have. They're not going to steal the spotlight. You're not even going to probably think of those guys in the forethought of your mind unless you're a Reds fan, because everybody in baseball is going to see Ellie and all the stuff that he did. Imagine if you added McLean and Friedl. Friedl, I think he led the team in RBIs the year before in 23. So you sit there and you go, oh, TJ Friedl being hurt's not the big deal. This team was supposed to bang. We didn't think that their pitching was going to do what it did. Their pitching was hurt, and it was still a really, really good starting pitching core. So I'll double up on what you said about the bullpen. I think they need to get at least 2 pieces. And you don't need to go 3 years, $45 million for somebody in your bullpen. Alexis Diaz closes games. You are always going to score runs, hit a ton in Cincinnati. So just shore up your bullpen. Shore them up so that he has 3 options to go to when you're winning in the 6th inning, because the starting rotation seems like they can get there. Hunter Green has finally taken the next step. We've been waiting for this for years, and he finally took it. Now you just got to keep those other guys healthy too.
Yeah.
That's right.
But also, go get some pieces. Go get some big pieces that can help you. Because I see the Cubs maybe going out and spending a little bit in that division. I don't know what the Brewers are going to do. The Cardinals has already said they're taking a step back. So what are the Pirates going to do? We usually don't spend. So listen, if you're the Reds and you can grab a couple pieces and go out and win this division, I think it's very winnable for them next year.
I mean, you could make a pretty strong case it was the worst division in baseball this year. What was the worst division?
The West. American League
Which
West.
one? Okay.
Maybe the Astros weren't as good as we thought. I know they're the Astros. I know we chose them. I know the Tigers came in and got hot, but maybe it wasn't as good a division as we thought it was.
That's a fair call out.
I'll tell you what the best division in baseball was, though, and y'all wouldn't see this one coming either.
AL Central.
AL Central.
Just like we all said. No, I was super guilty last offseason. I was definitely someone who was like, that's the worst division in baseball. It is not the worst division in baseball anymore.
I mean,
It's got 3 of the 4 left in their in their league, so it can't be the worst in baseball.
When you rebuild for a while, you do have to remember that eventually the team does get better over time. When a team keeps rebuilding, and you don't know exactly when it's going to happen. We probably all thought it was going to happen next year versus this year, but usually a team gets good a little quicker than you thought, and they get bad a little quicker than you thought. The window is usually open and closing a little earlier than anticipated. All right, let's swing back with Hot Corner time, and then we'll get ready for our two big interviews to end the show. Carlos Mendoza, Mets manager, Tanner Bibee, Cleveland Game 1 starter. Have you guys been following Jason Mackey, who's been on the show for us before, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette? He is just gangbusters right now. I mean, I'm loving it. It's kind of like something happened and he just is unhinged and opened up Pandora's box, because he'll give you opinion. And it's almost like, if you're covering the team like that, you're fed up of the BS coming from the from the Pirates. The Tigers are good. I can't wait to talk to him in the offseason. But anyway, I'll read the tweet. So he said, doing some research before the Cowboys-Steelers game, this grabbed me. Remember when the Pirates had to get Joshua Palacios and Liover Peguero up here and DFA'd Rowdy Tellez? Of course you do. They made 5 of 12 starts, grand total of 19 plate appearances. Did they even cover their tracks? No. Right? They didn't even cover their tracks. That is like a cockiness on another level. I'll give you a quick story. It's a little bit, it's not similar, but it wasn't covering tracks like that. So I was told years back, there was a fight with 2 TV executives. And so they didn't let me call a series for a different network, not even a rival network. It was stupid. And they told me I can't call the series because I'm working those days. And then they didn't put me on those days by accident. They didn't even cover their tracks. I'm like, man, you guys forgot to even cover how much BS this was and that there's 2 TV executives fighting over their egos.
The matchups must not have been good, I guess. They didn't want Joshua Palacios to face the wrong-handed pitcher.
It's bad. This is bad.
There's not even anything you can say. I mean, what Jason Mackey wrote was just that's perfect. Like, it sums it up beautifully. There's nothing else to say about it. I mean, there you go. I mean, remember they did it to not Michael A. Taylor and Rowdy. So, But Rowdy was the bigger headline. And then don't forget, I mean, listen, IKF covered it very well. But yeah, I mean, they kind of knew.
If you wanted to buy positive publicity, that kind of national exposure, it would cost you more than the incentives that they saved. I mean, they took a PR smashing in so many ways. You can't go far. What?
Don't even worry about PR. What about players that are going to end up signing when they actually are good? That's going to cost you way more.
That's part of it.
More than, yeah.
Also, if I'm on the phone, I'm like, oh, we'll throw some incentives in there, and I'm the agent. I'm like, screw you, I ain't doing incentives with you guys. You guys lost that privilege. You're not allowed to do incentives anymore. That's my right to say no.
Yep.
Our guy Trevor May, who is partially on paternity leave, by the way, because I know some of you have asked, where's Trevor at? Well, he's not working much right now. He's popping in an occasional social media video. He's watching games with his kid, who's like 5 seconds old. But he will be back eventually, so just letting everyone know. In the meantime, though, he is chiming in with some little clips, social media. Trevor's always pretty authentic and giving us a little inside word. So we've got Trevor. He'll be back next week. We've got Trevor on Artie Moreno talking about Albert Pujols' contract.
Prime example of art. I'm not going to give you any names because this was told in confidence and I don't want anyone to know. And I think I heard it from a person who heard it from a person who, so this might be a game of telephone a little bit. Allegedly, there was a meeting, a budget meeting, and going into the winter meetings one year, or like in the winter, where they're figuring out what their payroll is going to be this year and figure out what they're going to do in free agency. Maybe it was right after the season ended. It was like there's still 2 or 3 years left on Albert Pujols' deal, and they bring him up in the meeting, and Art says, I don't want to hear that name. Like, we can go through this, but like, let's act like he's not there. They go, well, we have to put it in there because it's part of the salary we're paying. And he cut him off. Was like, I just don't want to hear it. So basically, everyone in that room tiptoed around the idea, and they had to like make plans internally, knowing that they have to pay Albert Pujols. But Art wanted to operate as if they didn't have to because he didn't want to think about it.
What?
I like it.
You like
it? Yeah, why not? It's his money. He's like, I don't want to think about that bad contract I signed, that guy signed. So let's not talk about it. It's like Fight Club. Thou shalt not talk about Fight Club, right?
Yeah, well, what's going on right now? Because they've got a player who's pretty heavy on the books, who, in my mind, is in a way worse situation.
We don't talk about him.
Okay. I don't know who you're talking about. All right, then let's move back to the playoffs. Tarik Skubal back on the mound tonight. I mean, he's the best pitcher in baseball this year, right? Yes? Best pitcher. I get it. Sale on the National League side. Strong case, and Sale will win the Cy on that side. But here's Elias Sports on Skubal, who starts for the Tigers today. Only tweeted it. Over the past 2 seasons, opponent OPS against him, 553. You know, a lot of history going on here. Last 50 years, only AL pitcher with a lower opponent OPS in 2-year span was Pedro. Do you think that Tarik Skubal alone can carry this team? We talked about Cleveland earlier and their bullpen. I also think Cleveland has a better offense than the Tigers. Agree? Or you think it's close? Better bats? Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Cleveland's a lot better than you think they are. I mean, I think now if they get any kind of starting pitching like they got from Bibee in game 1, they're going to be a tough out because their bullpen is so good and they just seem to get big hits. That's what's amazing is that they just get big hit after big hit after big hit. And it's not just Ramirez. It's the Naylor brothers. It's Lane Thomas. First pitch he sees, it's a homer. I just think it's more. It's just more than what I think we all give them credit for because we're like, oh, they're the Guardians. We never heard of half these guys, right? If you don't watch them, if you don't watch baseball hardcore. So I think Cleveland is better than what we give them credit for.
Do you think Cleveland's like Milwaukee?
Better.
Obviously, they're better because they're still playing. Sorry, Kratz.
Although the Mets might have beat Cleveland. Might have been a tough challenge.
I think they're better because I think their lineup it's a deeper lineup. You know, you go batter to batter. Obviously, you put Yelly in there. You have a guy that could win a batting title against Stephen Kwan. But to me, I think Cleveland's lineup is better. But they're a lot alike because they have, you know, best bullpen in each respective league. But there's a little bit more of a level there for Cleveland. But they also play in the big leagues.
Yeah. Class A has the edge on the 9th inning, I guess, at least for now. I mean, until Devin Williams gets another chance. That was their season. Their season came down to that.
It's a push. I think they're both the same.
By the way, I got to ask Kratz this because I obviously didn't get a chance to. You saw the stuff on John Boy about Devin Williams tipping. Did you see that whole
I saw it.
If he was tipping, it was the smallest tip I've ever seen in my life.
They acted like it was so blatant. And it was from second base.
Yeah. I was like, unless you had a guy on second base, which the Mets never did, you could never tell.
No, it was the difference in deeper and farther out. But he holds his glove. It's harder to see here. He holds his glove here. So you're talking about this and that. You're not talking about seeing the difference in, like, his hand was still in the glove. I thought it was overblown.
To me, I thought he picked a bad day to have a bad day, right? The pitches that it looked like a lot of the Mets guys were sitting on the airbender, the changeup, right? And then he threw them up and they hit it. I mean, Nimmo's pitch was up that he hit for the hit. I mean, the walk to Lindor was what was huge, but then the pitch to Nimmo was up. The pitch to Alonso was a high changeup, and it just sucked. He had a bad day to have a bad day.
Tip your cap.
When there's someone that good and they give up a home run like that, people jump. They're like, all right, what happened? Something happened, because that doesn't happen. It's like, no, it does happen. All right, we got our guest ready to go, so let's step aside. Mets manager Carlos Mendoza, who is going to spin it forward to this series, right? But we'll ask about Pete.
You're muted, Scotty. Rookie mistake.
Woo! All right, so we're excited. Last half hour here, we'll get to Mendy talking about the Mets and the Phillies series here. So if you have questions for him, we'll take those in the chat right now. We've got plenty to ask him, and AJ's probably asked him a few questions in the last few days already. So he's waiting for you.
He's sick of me. He's sick of me. He's already seen my skit too many times.
Exactly. That is how I do want to start the conversation.
Yeah, ask him if he knows what that means.
Yeah, give me the. Well, no, we got to give him something else. I don't have the sheet. Damn it, I can't get up. I'm stuck to my chair. But if I had my ghost costume nearby, I would bring it. So we'll talk to Mendy.
I'm sure you have a costume. I'm sure you have costumes by.
You role play a lot. Let's
dig
in.
Much as I like role play, not a Halloween guy.
You're like Pat Burrell in role play. You're like Pat Burrell in role play. We're on YouTube right now, so we can bring that up. You're like Pat Burrell in role play. That's it. Look it up.
Should I just say Google it? Yeah. I mean, a lot of the YouTube crowd probably doesn't even remember who Pat Burrell is or know who Pat Burrell is, but give him a look.
Ask him about the machine.
The machine. I have a great machine story, by the way, but it's a secondhand story, so maybe one day when we get Chase on, he'll tell it on YouTube.
Ooh, okay. And then Tanner Bibee is going to join us after Mendy, so give us 1 minute and we'll get it rolling. All right, here we go. Carlos Mendoza joining us, Mets manager, right in the thick of the series. Yeah, you know that guy pretty well. There it is. AJ, you just did it.
I know. There we go. Yep.
That should be our handshake every time we see each other, AJ. That should be right
there. I told that story at the beginning, and I still feel like an idiot, but Senga was so far off the radar, like, because, I'm looking at your roster, and I'm like, okay, they have McGill, and they have Severino, and they have – and then and then Senga, because no one was even mentioning Senga as a possibility, and all of a sudden you're like a little more outside the box. I'm like, what?
I thought you were ready for it. Like former catcher, you're always thinking ahead. You got to have control of the whole situation. I was like, let me see if he's locked in. Kratzy, come on, man.
This is why, hey, you can't send a JV player to do varsity chores. Like. It's okay. AJ did a great job on telecast. He was talking bad about the Mets for an awful time and bad about the Phillies. But how long did you know Senga was going to go? How much farther back were you like, okay, he's working up. He's getting ready 2 weeks before you guys made the postseason? Or how soon were you like, ooh, this might actually work out?
Honestly, I didn't know. We knew he was throwing, but he's been through so much this year. It's been a hard year for him, and he pitched one day, and then we all saw it. He went down again. But like I said, it's always something that he's dealt. And I didn't know we had a player until we won the first game in Milwaukee, to be honest with you. The very next day, Davey called me in the morning. It's like, hey, we need to talk about Senga. And I was like, what's going on now? I was like, he said he's ready. I was like, what? I knew he threw a live BP on Monday and he was in Florida, but I wasn't expecting anything. So AJ was surprised when I gave him that. I was surprised too. But I was excited, man. And then we didn't know what was going to happen. We needed to win the series. We didn't know if it was going to happen on game 2. We lost game 2 in Milwaukee, and then because we didn't know if we were going to use Quintana, how the rotation was going to shake out for the next round. So there was a lot that we needed to go through. And not till we clinched on game 3 that we used Quintana, we used Petey, and it's like, all right, he's saying he's ready to go. Let's talk to him again and make sure that he's the one telling us, because we don't want to force anything. And man, what a surprise! And we were all pumped for it. The whole team was it. And man, just to watch him go out there and he gave a bomb the first at bat to Schwarber. I was like, oh boy, this is we got to get somebody ready, because we knew it was going to be a short outing. But man, it was good to see him out there competing, and just the way he looked that day, amazing. So,
first of all, I asked you this yesterday in the managers meeting. Like, what did you think when Schwarber hit that ball into New Jersey on the first hitter? And then, second of all, how did he bounce back? How did Senga bounce back? And is he ready? Because you told us that you're pretty sure if he bounced back, he would be in Game 5 if it gets there. So, how did he bounce back?
Really good. We're at the ballpark right now. We had an optional optional workout today. He came in. He's still here. And yeah, if we ended up going to a Game 5, he's pretty much in play. So progressing well and feeling good. So trending in the right direction. So what went through my mind when Schwarber hit that ball, I told Hevs, like, we got to get somebody going here, because this could get ugly quick. But man, he did a really good job there.
That's not what you thought right away, because right away you got to make sure all your bullpen guys are hiding, because they might get hit by that ball even in the upper deck of the bullpen.
I don't know. I don't know if it landed yet.
Yeah, you can't let somebody answer the phone that you're calling and just whack, hit him with a homer. How was that environment? Was it as good? Was it as loud as like advertised? Because you've always heard about it. You've been with the Yankees. How was the Philly environment? And do you think Citi Field is going to be louder?
Yeah, so it was pretty incredible. I'm not going to lie. It was awesome, And I told the guys going into, like, make sure you enjoy it. Make sure you embrace it, because, this is where you want to be. And sure enough, Game 1, as we're going through the intros and all that, and they're booing us. And then how electric it was with Wheeler pitching every pitch, is standing ovation. They're on their feet and they're loud, man. Like I'm telling you, like you said, with the Yankees, and I've been in a lot of places in playoff games, whether it's Houston, whether it's Boston, Yankee Stadium. That's no joke there in Philly, But now we're back here in New York, and I can't wait for tomorrow for our fan base to come to Citi Field and be better what we just went through the past couple of series, the past couple of days, obviously in Philly, but Milwaukee was pretty loud as well. So excited for that. But man, this is playoff. It feels October, and what a way to do it. Started the series in Philly, and now here we are back in Citi Field.
Mendy, so I wanted to ask you about Edwin Diaz next. So what has your projection been like with him from the start of the postseason up until this point, in terms of where you're thinking about using him, and also how you're checking in with him, right? I mean, everyone's throwing the number out. He's pitched, I think it's 130 pitches in the last 8 days, which I'm sure you and the team behind the scenes knows well.
Yeah, man, we've been riding him pretty hard, not a secret. But these are some of the conversations that I have with him as soon as he gets to the ballpark. Our pitching coach, Jeremy Hefner, talks to him all the time. Jose Rosado, our bullpen coach, and then our trainers, And Sugar is always pretty honest with us, And yes, we took care of him the whole year. And we got to this point, and, I think he's just having a feel for the situation. Sugar being honest with us. I usually, I'm telling him way before the game, as soon as he gets to the ballpark, I'm kind of communicating with him some of the potential scenarios that he could be in play. It's like, hey man, like, I know I'm only got 4 outs from you today, but that might happen, in the 7th or in the 8th if their best hitters are coming it depends on where we are bullpen wise too. Like if I feel like I have some of the other high leverage relievers, then that might not be the case that day. But the perfect example was yesterday. We were short with some of our relievers, and I felt like the game was right there. He wasn't going to finish that game. He got out of that seventh. He went back out for the eighth to face their top of the order. It just didn't happen. But if he would have got through that eighth inning, I was going someone else. I wasn't going to say Sugar for that ninth inning, like I said, because he's been throwing a lot. But he also came off from 2 days off before the outing yesterday. So we felt good about it. But once we lost the lead, that's why I went ahead and took him out of the game. So off day today. I saw him earlier. Feels really good. So that's a good sign. He should be good to go tomorrow.
By the way, next time, can you let me know that he's going to pitch in the seventh? Because we were like, wait, he's up in the seventh, and he's going to get.
He knew he was like in a high leverage situation. You're coming in, and then I'll figure out who's going to get the last three. And I thought yesterday, man, I thought Sevy was going to go, I don't know, 7 or 8 with the way he was throwing the ball. But yeah, I think it's just the game will tell you, and it happened yesterday.
Yeah, no, I was like, wait, he's up in the seventh. Is he going to get 7 outs? And we kept going back and forth. We're like, is he going to let him go 7 outs possibly?
He's not a starter.
No, I know, but it was just the way everything worked out. It was like, oh, I mean, that at bat to Schwarber was an epic at bat. Obviously, he got through that, and then he's in the second inning. What I have to ask this because we've talked about it, and you guys have mentioned a little bit. Pitching to Harper, like you guys are pitching to him, but you're kind of not pitching to him at the same time. So what's the fine line there? Because there's times where you're like, all right, we got to give him some to hit. There's 2 outs and nobody on. It's the first inning. Or do you just say, screw it, let's make Castellanos beat us?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great hitter. He's Bryce Harper, and the one thing with him is he's going to attack you right away. He's ready to go from first pitch. He's going to put that A swing. And if you leave anything close to the strike zone, he's still going to be able to find that barrel and put the ball and do damage, So, yeah, there's a fine line where you want to pitch to him, where you're going to pitch around him and take your chances with some of the other guys. But, he's got great hitters in front of him, and he's got great hitters behind him, which makes that team a really good team. Not a secret, right? They are deep. They have great hitters from top to bottom, and not only they can hit, they can pitch. So we're gonna have to pick our spots here and go from there, but not easy.
Mandy, have you ever done this as a manager or a bench coach to the catcher?
I don't know. You didn't. I don't. You probably saw it yesterday.
Oh yeah, we talk about it all the time.
Back, before before the game, 2 days before, I was talking to Savvy, and I told him what I needed to tell him. Hefner goes and makes a mound visit after Turner singles. Iglesias is coming from second base. I went to Iggy like that. I went to Alvy like that, and that didn't happen.
How fast did that happen, though? How fast from your perspective did the home run by Harper and then the home run by Nick? How fast did that happen? Because you sit there and you have a game plan, and I've been in scouting report meetings. Hey, we don't want to let Harper beat us. Technically, if you're really thinking about, hey, Harper's not going to beat us, he didn't beat you. You guys are still winning 3-2 with Sugar in the bullpen, so you guys are still up. Sevy's got like 74 pitches at the time.
At that time, it wasn't Sugar. It was Budo in the sixth.
Oh, when Budo was when you did this one, it was Budo. Okay,
it was Budo. Yeah, it was Budo that was up in the sixth. Harper didn't beat us there, but they got the momentum back. Because they were down, man. And as soon as Harper hit that ball, the whole place went nuts again. And, 2 pitches later, I think it was Castellano. Now he's tying the game. So it happens quick, but that's baseball,
But you're the manager. So is that why you went out and told McGill why you went out that time? Like, did you want to make sure a certain point was across? And what did you tell him? What did you say in that meeting? Because I love that you went out there. Some managers don't take the trek, but you look good walking out to the mound. You don't have like a weird limp or anything like that. You look like you're young.
He's in shape.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I just wanted to go through the whole situation, how we were going to play Turner at first base. I didn't want to give him the whole, even though I was going to pitch around him. If Turner would have taken second base, I had a decision to make there. But yeah, even then, as I'm talking to McGill, we gave him a pitch to hit, and he almost beat us. He hit a bullet down the right field line for a foul ball. And as soon as that ball came out of McGill's hands, I'm like, what a win, boom. And then I'm glad he was foul ball, And then the whole time I was like, Turner, take second base. But obviously they're not going to do it. But yeah, it was just me going through all the scenarios there. And, like I said, not only the guys in front of Harper, but the guy behind him, he's a pretty good hitter, and he got us yesterday.
Mendy, I've got one more, just backtracking the last series for a moment, because obviously we haven't talked to you. A lot of fans and even, media people are like, oh, Devin Williams was tipping. Mets had all of that on him. Did you hear any of that or see any of that? Or
yeah, I saw, obviously, social media days now, everything is out there, right? But the one that I saw was from second base. We never got a runner from second base, I'm not sure what they're seeing here, So Lindor walks, then there was a single, there's first and third, and then there's a homer. So the angle that they were showing, I don't know if a hitter could see it. So
that's what you guys said, Kratz.
That's what we just said. So thank you, Mendy, for giving us the inside info on that.
Yeah.
And thank you for getting a haircut, for coming on here. Happy playoff haircut.
Man, feels like we were on the road for forever, Finally got home, and let me get cleaned up a little bit here. I knew it was coming in the show, so all right.
Yeah. I'll finish with this. I've been working on the media side of the game for a minute now. And when I see a first-year manager at the beginning of the season, and then I see him around this time of year, I'm like, damn, he aged 5-10 years. You're holding up. Maybe it's the haircut.
I gotta keep it sharp, so you don't see my gray hairs and any of that. Because if I let it grow, then you're gonna say, man, 1 year.
Wow, 1 year. Mucho grease, man. Grease pelo.
I got a lot of them. That's why I keep it sharp here. Keep it tight.
Okay, so hey, we talk about this. We've talked about on the broadcast. We've talked about Grimace. We've talked about OMG. We've talked about the pumpkin. You and I. You told us about the Mario chain that your son wears, and I mean, how many gimmicks do the Mets have, and how the heck do you keep up with them all? Because I mean, there's going to be like 100 Grimaces in the stands tomorrow. We're going to show every one of them on Fox, right? You guys have like 7 OMG signs in your clubhouse. After every home run, everyone runs in and takes their picture. I mean, can you keep up with them? Can the players keep up with them? Alonso's got his pumpkin he bought somewhere in a pumpkin patch. I mean, what else can you guys come up with?
We got to play baseball, man. We got to play baseball. We got good players, and we got to go out there and play baseball. That's all I'm going to say. Every day is something different, and that's not about it. That's not it. We got to go out there. We got to prepare. We got to, we have to do the things that we need to do before the game, and then we got to go out there and execute. We got to go out and play baseball. We're facing a really good team. Everything else around it, play baseball.
Well, he has experience, right? Because, you always manage, since Booney got kicked out all the time, and the Yankees love gimmicks. They had one every day. I'm joking. Obviously, they didn't do any of that. But I love it. The fans are loving it, so it's fun, and it's working. But, Mendy, great to have you on, man. Good luck the rest of the way here in this series. Good luck dealing with AJ in the manager meetings.
All right. Thanks for having me, Kratzy, Scotty, AJ. See you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
See you tomorrow.
I'll see you. Thanks, Mendy. We'll be right back on FT. We'll see you soon. All right. Good luck. Tanner Bibee from the Cleveland Guardians next up on the show. What did you think? So that was cool. We talked about the tipping situation from the Devin Williams matchup against Pete Alonso, and then you heard it from the managers. Like, no one was.
We already had that combo, by the way. I knew exactly what he was going to say. I actually had that combo with him.
You asked him?
I asked him that exact question on the workout day. I asked him, and it might have been Sarball. I don't know. There was a couple of the coaches walking around, and I asked them because we get one of the nice things about the national broadcast in the playoffs. The local media doesn't get to go into the clubhouse, but we get like 15 minutes of our own time where we can just go in, and it's us and ESPN Radio, so we get to go in there now. Now, for 12 of those 15 minutes, there's not one player in the locker room, but every once in a while, one will sneak in, or you get to get out there and BP and grab somebody. So, but yeah, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask because that was when all that thing came out, and I was like, I asked Mendy straight up, and he goes, "Man." He goes, we didn't have anybody on second base. He goes, we got a lot of guys that can figure out some tips. He's like, but that one, he's like, I don't know who could have got that one because there was nothing to it.
Yeah, that got too in depth in a way that didn't make any sense. And look at Kratz. You guys are asking about the gimmicks because Kratz got roasted on what was it, our Instagram reels and maybe a little bit of TikTok. They're like, hey, let them have their fun. Don't be an old man.
I'm not at all. I'm not taking away from their fun, but it's like what Mendy just said. He said, "Go play baseball. Go play baseball." And I don't think the gimmicks of Winker slamming his helmet. I don't think that was a gimmick. Like talking about grimace, talking about the pumpkin. We're talking about signs. We're talking about like this team. Like don't let those things distract from how good this team is playing against the team that I think is the best team in the National League. They're keeping with them, and they were an inning away, a run away from being up 2-0. Like, don't let all that stuff distract from the fact that this is a really good, a very well playing together team. This team is playing so well together right now.
I think during the season it was helpful, though, guys, where it can distract from other questions. It takes away from the media members only get a certain period of time. They get to go in there and say, hey, you guys are on this heater now. What about grimace? And then you have some fun. And then you miss some of the, nitty gritty or some of the BS. How much pressure you feeling to keep the streak alive? Instead, they're like
the boringness. It takes away from the boringness.
In the season, it's good.
That.
Postseason, I get it. In the season, I think it's fun.
Postseason is just something for the fans to get around. And also, Mark Vientos is on a heater right now.
Ooh, yes, he is. Here we go. Tanner Bibee, Cleveland's Game 1 starter, joining us right now. The Guardians are 1-0 to start their American Division Series against the Tigers. Tanner, great to see you, dude. Did you have fun, Game 1?
Oh, my God, yeah. So much adrenaline. It was unbelievable.
But you had much fun, you had to come out?
That's what I was going to say. You couldn't make it 5 innings. You had so much adrenaline.
Whoa, come on now. Hey, voters, one of my good friends. Like, you can talk trash about him on here. Like, 5, you want that W. You want that W.
I do what I'm told, man.
Stop.
Oh, come on. You walked off the field you walked off the field like this. Like, yeah, give it up. I almost went 5, guys. Let's go.
And I thought the wins matter, AJ. The playoff win.
Yeah, they won. The team won in the playoffs. I'm talking about
one out. That's when wins matter.
Yeah. The only wins that matter in the playoffs is the Guardians are up 1-0 and they won 7-0. That's the win that matters. The rest of the crap, it don't matter in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So Tanner, let me ask you this, because the Cleveland bullpen has been historically good. And this is going to be their coming out party because Cleveland's bullpen's not full of the biggest names besides Clase, at least not yet, right? So my question to you is, coming off your big rookie season, do you think it's helpful for relievers who haven't seen playoff baseball to get some time in a game like that yesterday in a less pressurized situation?
Yeah, I feel like that was part of it. I mean, Cade, Gaddis, and Herron, this is their first full year, and they got into a playoff game with not as much adrenaline, and now down the road when we play a game that's a one-run game or it's tied, they're going to have that experience to kind of just do what they've done all year.
And yes, I meant Saturday. If I said yesterday, I meant Saturday for anyone that's going to be weird trolling me on YouTube. But anyway, go Kratz.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm joking about the whole fifth inning thing, but you hear it all the time. Third time through for a starter. One thing we were talking about earlier in the show, everyone's so up in arms about third time through for a starter, but now Cade Smith and Gaddis, they could all pitch 3 times in this series, but nobody's like, oh, well, you can't. Those same batters can't see Cade Smith for a third time. They're like, throw him back out there. Do you think that's fair to use starters, or do you think that's just how it is and nobody should question this?
I think in our case, when our pen has been so good, I think our job as starters right now, whether it's me, Boyd, Cobb, Lively, Gavin, Cantillo, like it's to get the ball to them and for them to do their thing. And I completely get that. And the whole point of the playoffs is to win. And that's been our formula all year. Obviously, it's a little more exaggerated right now because it's the playoffs, but dude, I get it. They've been historically probably definitely top 5 bullpen of all time in the regular season. So I get it. I totally get it.
Tanner, do they know that? Like when you talk to them, and we've had some of them on, like we had, I think the last one was Gaddis maybe a month ago or so, but do they know how good they are?
I mean, they kind of just do their own thing. I mean, Cade's a freaking robot. Gaddis just kind of goes out there and just hucks the ball. Same with Clase, and they all just kind of just go out there. They'll go out before the game. They'll throw. They'll play catch. They'll run, and they'll go into the bullpen and watch Catfished until the BP. They'll shag BP, come inside, play cards, and go out to the bullpen. That's what they do every single day.
Catfish. They're watching Catfish.
They're watching
catfishes. I mean, did Matthew Boyd catfish the league when he couldn't pitch, and all of a sudden he's your game 2 starter, and he was awesome for you guys during the regular year? I mean,
he was hurt his last year.
Yeah, I know, but he didn't tell anybody. Then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm pitching in the postseason. I'm doing all right."
Well, yeah, he's always been nasty. He's always been able to punch guys out, and I was just kind of figuring it out.
It's true. That's true. What do you expect from him? Can he get you guys 5? Because you had to come up short. 4 2/3. We're joking, obviously. But can he get you to 5? Can he get you 5 and match Scooble?
I've been talking to Cobb about this. How it's it's such a crazy story. Boyd spends 6 years with the Tigers trying to get to the postseason. Finally gets to the postseason with us, our division rival, and he's pitching against the Tigers. I mean, it's a team he's super familiar with. It's a team that he knows most of these people, and I mean, he's pitched well for us. I mean, I don't know how many starts he's had, but I mean, he had a sub-3. I feel like any team would take a sub-3 pitcher throughout a certain stretch. So I mean, he could definitely give us 5. Definitely do 1 out better than me.
Is it fair? Is it fair to say Phillies crowd was unbelievable? The Dodgers crowd last night was ruckus, and they were throwing stuff onto the field. Cleveland's crowd was...
Dude, they get loud. They get loud. I feel like it's even crazier the more you think about it, because I think we have the lowest capacity of baseball, and we get freaking loud, man. We played in Philadelphia this year. We played in LA, and that game, when Lane hit that 3-run homer, it got loud. So I mean, they want it as bad as we do. I mean, they haven't seen it. They haven't seen a World Series in however long. They want it just as bad.
Hey, what was it like for Lane when he first came aboard? I don't know how close you've gotten with him, but he's one of the big trade additions. He's had a nice run with the Nationals. It was during a time when the team's rebuilding, so you're not playing those amped up games on a first place team like you guys were. Comes over, struggled mightily. Be the first one to say that, right? And then he's really picked up the pace, and then it's probably pretty cool for him to have the big home run in game 1. So what did you see from him when he comes through? Because, I mean, you guys didn't do a ton at the trade deadline, so this is the kind of guy where you're like, yo, this button better work.
I mean, it was pretty awesome because I remember I was throwing. I was kind of in the tunnel, kind of doing my whole thing. And as I was coming back up the stairs to watch, I see the ball fly out of this little window that I can see. And everyone goes nuts. He comes in, and I'm like, oh, that was awesome. And then after I came out of the game, I think I was talking to Fry, and I was like, was that Lane's first pitch he's ever seen in the postseason? And he just went deep against a righty, someone he hasn't been hitting against really that often. I was like, dude, it was awesome. Everyone was super stoked, obviously, but super stoked for him just because he kind of been through the ringer a little bit with us.
All right, the bye week is what everybody talks about. Oh, he haven't played for the whole week, and other teams, these guys are rusty. Whammo! 5 runs, first inning. What were the conversations like? Did did you hear the hitters? Because mostly talked about hitters, but it could be pitchers too. But did you hear the hitters like, oh man, my timing's just off? Besides Hosey's timing, Hosey will be 60 years old and his timing will still be on. But did you hear that? And did they talk about that? And did they have those conversations?
Did not hear a word about it. I think everyone was more happy to have the rest, if anything. Like we played, I think in September we had like a 17 game like straight stretch, and then we had like day off, 2 games against Cincinnati, day off, and the 2 games against Houston. So I think at that point to end the season with that, it was kind of nice to get some rest and kind of get healthy, or some people had some nagging stuff to just like get it out of there.
Hey Tanner, did you guys play any sim games or anything during that week? Because the Phillies picked teams and put some money on it and kind of made it competitive. I think they had Harper and Realmuto and Turner and Castellanos like captains, and they picked teams and did sim games. Did you guys do anything like that?
Oh, I mean, nothing like that. But I had a sim game on the Monday, so like the day after the season was over. And let me tell you, I got smacked around by our outside guys. It was not pretty. And I think they did sim games the couple days after that too. I think they did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday was kind of a normal day. But man, our outside guys dominated me.
Love to hear that. As a just-in-case guy, I lived my career as a just-in-case guy. The alt site, I don't know, that's like more COVID stuff, but we're the JIC. We're the JIC guys. We're the just-in-case guys. Did you tell Voter, your manager, Stephen Vogt, did you tell him to get in the box? And did any coaches? Because sometimes the sim games getting ready, not as many hitters want to get in there. Did any of the coaches get in the box? And if not, which coach would you rather have gotten in the box?
I mean, they were all playing defense. I had Voter playing first. I had Albie playing shortstop. Dan Fuente was playing third. I don't think Kai got out there. But, I mean, if I had to face one guy in the box, I mean, it has to be Vogt. It has to be Voter. Or Carl, because I think that'd be hilarious.
Carl!
You don't want any of
Carl
Sandy
out of it.
You don't want anything part of Sandy, because if you hit him, he'll come out and strangle you.
He's gonna trouble out there and try to get me.
Yeah, exactly. If he catches you, you're in trouble.
He'll ride his 10 speed.
Voter played a year and change ago. He's fresh off the big leagues.
That's what I'm saying. He played in the first years.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's fresh off.
Just stay away from down and in. That's it. Just stay away from down and in. Anything else, anything going away from him, he's not going to be able to do anything to it.
You can run that vert, run that vert up, and he doesn't know about that. Yeah. You say, that was my vert. That was my vert, Voter.
Well, Tanner, we appreciate you hopping on for us, dude. Looks like you're having a blast out there. Keep it up. We're excited to watch the next one. And good luck the rest of the way in this series, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you, man. Great having you on as always. Tanner Bibee with us from the Cleveland Guardians as we get ready to wrap up. And let's immediately go to slap hands here. So we got 2 nice little interviews there right towards the buzzer.
Big time.
Let's slap. Yeah, that was great. Our 20-person guest department that books all this, our talent booker, schedule booker, whatever you call it. Guest booker is the word I'm looking for. Really did a great job working behind the scenes. I'm kidding. Obviously, it's very few of us, but great job, crew. Great job. That was a fun finish.
By the way, when yesterday we were driving from Philly to New York after the game, they sent us who's going to be on for the next day, and I was like, Carlos Mendoza, and I was with our crew, and I was like, oh, I get to talk to Mendy again tomorrow. They're like, man, he's going to be sick of you for sure, because even on his off day, he's got to see me.
I think he had a blast. I think he loved it.
Dude, listen, I'm going to say this, and I said this on the air. Both of these teams that I'm covering, the Phillies and the Mets, with their managerial hires, when they hired Rob Thompson for the Phillies, and then when the Mets hired Carlos Mendoza, who I knew nothing about, honestly, when they hired him, and then he came on our show, Kratz got him on here, and he was awesome. And then when you talk to him every day, the energy that this dude has is just infectious. It's incredible. And you know who he learned from in the Yankees organization? Rob Thompson. Wow. So it's kind of full circle. They're both incredible to talk to. They both keep it real. They both tell you what you want to know. And they're both outstanding ambassadors and managers of their baseball organizations.
Yeah, agreed. All right, we'll get to Kratz hats and fan questions and all that for the final 3 minutes when we hit it just on YouTube. But for the television crowd watching on Bally Sports right now, hope you enjoyed this one. That was a fun finish. I know obviously there's a good Cleveland crowd that's watching right now, so you got to hear from Mr. Bibee. And we'll see what happens in these games tonight. Good luck on your bets if you have them. And we'll see who we get the next few days here on FT. But just reminding everyone, 1 to 3 Eastern, live every single day, every weekday, year round, and select post-game shows after these games. What do you got, Kratz?
I mean, I got Scotty's World Series pick. I figured I had to rub it in one last time that your World Series pick. That's such a cool hat too. I got so many colorful hats. I'm going colorful hats for the postseason. Try to stay away from red when AJ's on.
I'm not even gonna respond to that. But did you guys have any thoughts on Mookie Betts so far in this series? I know he was just short of a homer, and he was kind of giving us the "there's no excuses" vibe. He said here, I got the quote on the quality of his ABs. They're all outs, so they're all terrible. I don't know really what to say about it. I'm giving my best, doing my best. Obviously, it's not good enough right now because he's hitless in his last 22 postseason ABs. And I mean, obviously, it's only been 2 games for him, and the offense showed up big in game 1. But people are just like, hey, should we make anything of this?
Well, here's the thing. I hate it when I'd hit a line drive and the guy would be like, come in the dugout and was like, great at bat. And I was like, screw that, man. A great at bat is when I'm on base. And especially if I got a hit. Now, whatever, you help the team. Like if I hit a fly ball or ground ball and move the guy over, I'll take that at bat. But yeah, to just make outs and not help the team, those are not great at bats. I don't care how many pitches or whatever it is, because you still want to help the team by getting on base, driving in runs, getting hits, whatever it takes. But yeah, I mean, I think he'll be fine. He's Mookie Betts. He's one of the best players in baseball. He's just going through it a little bit. But if he could turn it on one pitch, like we talked about with Harper. All it takes is one swing, and boom, you got Mookie back. And watch out.
Waiting to explode. Waiting to explode. You can't sit there and say what AJ said is so true. It's so true in the regular season. It's even more true in the postseason. Never have I felt better than getting on base on an error than when you get on base in the postseason. And he knows he's not getting on base. He's a catalyst to this team. If he stays 0 for the series, they're going to stop throwing to Shohei. I don't think they'll ever make that adjustment and stop throwing to Shohei to get to Mookie Betts. Nobody in their right mind has that. But he's going to be a key to this series if the Dodgers are going to get back.
I know they're also just watching endless replays of Darvish versus Shohei yesterday. All the other Padres pitchers like, what the heck did he do? How does he have the secret? Because, yeah, they neutralized him yesterday. Betts, by the way, yeah, I mean, he was that close to a homer. Okay. You just keep doing that, Kratz?
But nobody has used. You was throwing some 72-mile-an-hour curveballs.
He also threw this a couple of times, which he hardly ever throws.
Splitsky?
Rushing them up, throwing them splits, throwing sliders. I mean, difference is you has 17 pitches he can throw. No one else has those.
Yeah, and that actually really worked for them. Dodgers territory can talk about this a little bit more. Alana Rizzo, Clint Facias. They have a few categories to hit. So
man, there's going to be some crying on that show. Dodgers lose. Poor Alana, Clint, man, there's going to be some balling on that show if the Dodgers don't win.
I think they're going to pop off about the fans too, like I did. We'll see. Stay here if you want to watch that and listen to that. You should. We'll see everyone tomorrow.